Okay, welcome back for exercise number 2. We're going to the practice lab once again. And the password is learn2, LEARNTWO. Alright, and so we're logged in. Go to my screen. This is already completed for Windsor, Washington. And so if you're in your 4491W, and we're going to be doing exercise number 2. So we scroll to page 12. And here's the intake. So again, all the personal information, the address, the name, the date of birth, that's all going to be entered on the main information screen. That's where we start. So here we are. And the answer is $3,997 as a refund for Windsor. And we'll go through the entries just so you can double check your work. Filing status, single, no dependents. We have his direct deposit information entered. And let's see what we have for forms. So he had wages. We'll have a W-2. We have interest income, post-secondary education expenses. And that's about it. So, okay. Let's see. We have Montel, Jesse, Scott. We can see if this person, why or why not they were being claimed as a dependent. Okay, so Windsor is single, pays child support for his son Montel. Montel lives with his mother 10 months out of the year. Okay, we'll go into the details, but as you saw, Montel did not qualify as a dependent. Windsor didn't itemize last year. Give me some information here about his education expenses that he had checked off on the intake sheet. And if he wants his money refunded direct deposit. So, okay, he has interest and dividend income. Let's see where that is entered in the practice lab. So again, you can go to the 1040, page 1. Scroll down in the income section to interest income. And on your computer, you should be able to link out to the form. But in this case, we're just going to go to it. It's pulled up under the Schedule B. There's going to be an interest statement as well as a dividend statement. And so the interest statement, so we're going to actually enter the information onto. So we put the name, the amount, and then you see the early penalty was entered over here. Go to the dividend statement, ordinary dividends, qualified dividends, and that was it. He didn't have any federal withholdings or early distribution penalty. So there are those two for the interest income. For the dividend, he did have a non-dividend distribution, which wasn't factored into the answer. And here's the W-2. So you notice this time all of these are the same. But there is a little bit of a hitch, so you're going to want to check your work here. We'll go to the W-2. And you can see that we had to check this box to take the calculations off lines 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because if you look at his Social Security tax withheld, that was not matching with the automated calculation. So we had to make that change manually. And that was pretty much it for this one. Really straightforward. So we'll just review the 1040. And then we'll go into a little bit why Montel doesn't qualify as a dependent. So here's the wages. Here's the taxable interest. Here's the dividends. We'll scroll down to the penalty on the early withdrawal. That's the $22 that we entered for the interest income, so that's right there. And that's the only adjustment. So we'll go to page 2. And scroll up to the top. We see this is the standard deduction for someone that is going to be single. Here's the one exemption. So reduces his taxable income down to $10,114. He's going to pay, looks like, a little over 10% tax. And so we'll scroll through here. He's getting the education credit, and that's what's going to reduce down his taxable income. So let's just go to that form where we enter that. It's going to be the 8863. And so here's his name and the information that was given to you about the university. And these are the correct boxes to check. If you check down here that he has claimed the American Opportunity Credit for the past 4 years, yes, then he wouldn't be eligible for this credit, which is the larger of the credits. So again, form 8863. You're going to go through these questions. No, yes, no, no. You enter the $5,000 here. That's all for tuition. And so that qualifies under education expenses. And you see the $2,500 is what's going to be his credit. So if we go back to the 1040 page 2, we see that 1,058 of it was going to be used to reduce his tax liability, and then he gets another 1,000, which is the maximum that can be refundable to someone. So there's a refundable aspect of the education credit as well as the non-refundable, but what can reduce tax liability up here. These are all of his withholdings from his wages, $2,997 from his W-2, and so that's going to be his refund, $3,997. The education credit and the withholdings he gets back in full. So that is the basics, and then we can go into a little bit more about why this is the case in terms of his filing status, because not only was he not able to claim Montel as a dependent, but he was also not able to claim him for the head of household filing status. So for those that want a little bit more information into why this is the case, we'll go to the publication 4012, which is, again, our number 1 reference for tax questions. Number 2 is the publication 17, and we'll have these to give out in paper form at the training, but you can also find them online by just going to Google and typing in publication 4012 or publication 17. So we'll just take a quick look at the decision tree for filing status. Were you married on the last day of the year? No. Did your spouse die during the year? No. Did your spouse, do all of these apply? Did your spouse die? No. So it's not going to be qualifying widow, so we're going to be looking at this is the main question here. Lived with you in your home for more than half the year. So we saw that Montel lived with his mother and not with Windsor. So that's why he wasn't considered head of household. And similarly, if we go back to the table of contents, we can see how to navigate to the dependency chart. Just for a quick look at that. And it's also going to come down to lived with you all year as a member of your household. So the answer is no, you cannot claim this person as a dependent. So that's kind of the skinny on that topic. Another one, if you wanted to look up, we won't go into detail here, but there is sections for the earned income credit, the education benefits. And so we'll go to the education credit, and it gives you some more background information into the different ways of claiming education credits, with the American Opportunity Credit being the most beneficial to Windsor in this case. So again, any other tax questions that you may have about this practice problem, just refer to your site coordinator and they should be able to go more in depth on the topic of interest.